What if I told you the thing you were prescribed to help your fibroids could actually be making them worse? Welcome back to the Root, the podcast that unpacks the truth behind women's health and healing from within. Today, we're diving into the topic so many of us have been misled about, and that's birth control. We've been told it can help with fibroids, but the truth is, it's just a bandaid and could be making things 10 times worse. Before we get started, two really quick disclaimers. Number one, I am not a medical professional and this is not medical advice. Everything that I mention within this podcast is based on my own personal experience. And number two, as Q-Tip said, occasionally I curse to get my point across. So if you have young kids in the background, I would recommend that you wear headphones, or if curse words offend you, feel free to exit left right about now. Okay, let's get into it. The most common advice from medical professionals is that you can take birth control to manage your fibroid symptoms. Ladies, this is a myth, okay? This is like one of those super myths. This is up there with Zeus, Icarus, and Poseidon, okay? This is not real. And I really wish that some doctors and gynecologists would really take accountability for the advice that they're offering to women with fibroids, because effectively what they're doing with these estrogen based birth control is feeding your fibroid. They're not helping to shrink it, they're not helping to educate you about your detox pathways. They're not doing any of those things. They're just suppressing the worst symptoms. And for most women with fibroids, the worst symptoms will be the heavy bleeding and the pain. So let's break this down real simple because no one ever really explains this part clearly. There are two main types of hormonal birth control that are often prescribed to women, especially those who are dealing with heavy bleeding or fibroids. The first is called the combination birth control, and this normally comes in the form of a pill. This includes synthetic estrogen and progestin. So, progestin, for those who don't know, is the man made version of your natural progesterone. Now, this is a combo, so it does a few things. I'll just explain them to you quickly. It stops your body from ovulating, so obviously there's no egg that's released. It thins the lining of your uterus, so even if an egg slipped through, let's just say, there's nowhere for it to go. And it thickens the cervical mucus, making it harder for sperm to even enter to get to your egg. So far, so good, right? Well, the flip side of this, which many doctors fail to actually communicate to women with fibroids, is that you're not only flooding your body with synthetic hormones, but you're flooding your body with estrogen. And for women with fibroids, which are often driven by excess estrogen, this can make things worse in the long run. Because if your liver or your gut can't clear out the excess estrogen fast enough, it just sits in your system. That creates estrogen dominance, which we've all heard of. And estrogen dominance feeds your fibroids. Now, let's talk about the second type, which is progestin only birth control. Now, I can talk about this one personally because in the past I have tried one or two of these to try and control the fibroid symptoms. So, these forms of birth control are normally called the mini pill, or you will have the IUD. There are also birth control injections, and I believe they still do the implants as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, these forms of birth control don't usually contain estrogen, so it seems like a safer option. But the reality is they're still using synthetic hormones that interfere with the body's natural rhythm, not to mention the extreme side effects. So, whilst I was taking this birth control, I experienced eczema, which I've never had in my life. It was not pleasant at all. You also have extreme breast pain, and to be quite honest with you, can be really, really scary. It's that intense. And the final nail in the coffin for me was the inflammation of the joints. So it's kind of like you're jumping out of the frying pan into the fire. Like, pick your poison. What do you want? Do you want fibroids with excess bleeding and intense pain? Or do you want eczema all over your face and body, as well as joint pain? And here's something that a lot of people don't know. When you're actually on the pill and you bleed, that's not a real period. And I didn't know this until recently. That's actually what they call a withdrawal bleed, just your body responding to the break in hormone dosing. You're not actually having a natural cycle at all. So when doctors say birth control will regulate your period, what they really mean is it will suppress your cycle and replace it with a fake one. And for women with fibroids, the suppression doesn't heal the root cause, it just puts a lid on the symptoms. So some bright spark came up with the idea, well, if you just don't have a period, then all of this will go away. Okay, well, what about the actual root cause of the problem? Nobody speaks about the root cause. In fact, I've spoken to gynecologists and doctors, and they all come out with the same line: we don't know the cause. I call bullshit. I really do. Because you can't tell me that you've studied for however many years it is to be a doctor. What is it? 4, 5, probably even more than that. I don't know. And you don't know the root cause of a gynecological problem. Okay. Okay. If that's the case, I've got a bridge to sell you. I am yet to come across an actual doctor outside of holistic doctors and functional doctors that will want to talk about the root cause. So it kind of feels to me that they don't want you to heal. That's my opinion. They want you to stay in that same kind of plateau where the symptoms are just manageable, and they're manageable with, guess what? Medication or surgery. It's never healing. And as a woman who's had fibroids for many years, I believe that we've suffered enough. Fibroids is suffering, just like I'm sure endometriosis is suffering as well. And to know that the people who claim to be the experts are there in a caring profession to try and help you don't really want to help you. They want to give you half of the information so that you will continually keep coming back to them and back to them in the form of, I need some more pills, I need some more surgery. And each to their own. Honestly, I'm not judging you in terms of if you decide to use birth control, that's completely up to you. My issue lies with the medical system that chooses to suppress the truth for profit, which for me is really unfair. Let's just say you've gone to see your doctor and they've convinced you that your only option is to have a hysterectomy. It's not something that you wanted to do, but you did it because you really just couldn't tolerate living with these fibroids for a moment longer. You have the hysterectomy, it's a major operation, and then years down the line, you find out actually it wasn't really anything to do with my wound per se. My body isn't, defected in any way. It was all to do with things that I could have managed myself, such as stress, such as toxins, such as my diet. And this for me just feels so disingenuous that we're not given this information. And this is one of the main reasons why I feel called to just share everything that I know, especially the things that have worked for me, because I refuse to believe that we can't heal our own bodies. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Okay. The body is so intelligent, has so many functions. And you're trying to tell me that it is unable to heal itself from fibroids. No, I don't buy it. Sorry. Doctors and gynecologists know that heavy bleeding is a symptom. It's not the root cause. By covering the symptom, this delays you ever finding out why you developed fibroids in the first place. It doesn't make sense to give a woman who has estrogen dominance that has caused her fibroids more estrogen. Honestly, it's like pouring water on a weed, thinking you're drowning it, when really all you're doing is feeding it. Why not take the time to actually sit with your patient and explain to them there is clearly some kind of blockage with your detox pathways? Your liver is not able to detox the hormones in your body. Therefore, you've become backed up And the result of that is estrogen dominance, which is feeding your fibroids. In my mind, that's a good segue into let's talk about your diet. Maybe we could talk about your digestive system. Maybe we can talk about probiotics and prebiotics and how we can actually help ourselves naturally outside of medication and outside of us cutting away the symptoms. It really feels like this hush hush kind of forbidden topic that doctors refuse to actually venture into. It's always a case of, oh, well, it's quite common within Black and Asian communities that you will get this. Okay, yeah, a lot of Black women have fibroids. Does that mean that we're not entitled to know what the root cause is? Does that mean that we're not entitled to learn about how to heal ourselves? Or are you basically saying that it's just something that we have to put up with because of the color of our skin? I hope you're not saying that. I remember a lady on TikTok trying to tell me that the reason why so many Black women have fibroids is because we have a predisposition to estrogen dominance. And I was like, what in the colonizer handbook have you been reading? Immediately, no, just no. You cannot tell me that the whole Black female population has a problem with fibroids because of the color of their skin and that somehow our bodies don't work the way that they should. Girl, please. Any woman with fibroids, if she's being honest, will tell you the emotional toll that it can take on you. But I want you to know that your body isn't betraying you. I know it can feel like it sometimes, but what she's actually trying to do in the most gentle way possible is to send you warning signs in the form of symptoms. She's basically saying, hey, over here, there is a problem over here. You really need to look at it. Let's address it before things get even worse. So, what can we do to try and help ourselves? We know that birth control is a temporary fix at best. If heavy bleeding is your main concern, there are natural herbs that you can actually take that will help to slow down the bleeding. I myself have a tea that I've put together that contain these natural herbs. I will leave the details below for anybody that's interested. It's called the red tent tea because you can slow down the heavy bleeding each month without having to silence your cycle. But in addition to that, what I would say to anyone who has been recently diagnosed or someone who's looking to start their holistic journey to heal from fibroids is let's look at your gut health and let's look at your hormones because the two are interlinked. And although doctors don't really mention your hormones, your estrogen, your progesterone, when they're talking about fibroids, these things are very, very important. There are also some really good herbs that will help to support you in terms of balancing your hormones. I would recommend a herb called Vitex. It's fantastic. In fact, any woman that is suffering from fibroids, you really want to try and introduce this into your routine just to help bring that balance back with estrogen and progesterone. And then in terms of liver, there are two really great ones that I myself have tried and I've seen results with, and that is DIM and NAC. What they're there for is to support your liver function so that you can naturally metabolize the hormones to bring down that estrogen dominance. What you need to be careful of, though, is that not all supplements are created equal. But I will leave a link down below to the supplements that I recommend that are not chocked full of caking agents and very little of the actual ingredient. I know how frustrating it can be to try and make progress with your healing. It's kind of two steps forward, one step back. But I just want you to know that you are your own healer. I'm just here to hand you the tools and to share the information that has helped me in the hopes that it will also help you. But really, it starts with you. It starts with you being willing and open to actually trust your body and know that your body is always there looking out for you and it's helping you and it's communicating with you every single day. You just have to be prepared to stop and listen and take action on the information that it's actually giving you. So, if this episode resonated with you in any way, I would love for you to share it with a friend or someone who needs to hear it. As always, there are links down below if you need any further help in terms of your holistic healing journey. I really want to know about the experiences that you've had trying to heal from fibroids, or any kind of information that you would like to share with the community. So if you feel called to, please do reach out and contact me, and we can hopefully have a discussion. Until next time, take care.